Hey, this is Matt Wenning at WenningStrength.com, and today we're going to talk about some key body weight exercises in case you don't have a gym. Now, if you're traveling or we're still kind of in a pandemic around the world, maybe your gyms aren't open or you don't have access to equipment at home, these are some key exercises that can not only maintain some gains, but also maybe improve some gains that when you come back to the gym, you're not going to lose as much or maybe even get stronger. Now, the first exercise is your basic push-up, but the problem is you see a lot of people that are untrained, they do push-ups incorrectly. So if you watch this video, I like to do push-ups with holding a dumbbell. The reason is that I like to keep my wrists really straight, and as you can see, my flexibility to do this from benching all the time is not very, very high. The point is that the dumbbells, in my opinion, holding the dumbbells actually helps with keeping the elbow and wrist and hand pain down while you're doing push-ups, but I also believe it puts you in a better angle to press that's less hard on your shoulder. So if you don't have a gym and you can't do any upper body, everybody can find a piece of ground to do some push-ups. Now the trick is that you want to stay in close, you want to kind of keep your elbows tucked, and you want to stay keeping it on your elbow. The pec and the shoulder will grow secondarily, but don't utilize pressing movements as chest or shoulder dominant movements, or you're going to start causing some shoulder pain and problems. So what I say is always try to be tricep dominant in your movements. So if you're going to use push-ups, whether your gym's closed or you don't have any equipment, make sure that you're trying to feel it in your elbows more than in your pecs and shoulders. The next exercise that you don't see a lot of people talk about is the backwards lunge. Now I like backwards lunging because it tends to try to open up the hips a little more, and it tends to be a little less quad dominant. So if you're actually sitting back to do a reverse or a backwards lunge, you tend to want to use a little more hamstring, a little more glute. Obviously you're still going to use some quadricep muscle, but you'd be surprised at how good you might be at going forward, but how poor you are at moving backward. And that's very common for how humans move today. Everything's anterior, everything's forward. So start thinking about doing things backward and start finding that not only is it challenging, but also it can create some new muscle gains and maybe even help fix some motor patterns and make you better. So if you don't have access to a squat rack, do a lot of backward lunging and you'll find that you'll hit your glutes, your hamstrings, and your legs very, very hard in a movement that's a little bit different. The next exercise, if you don't have any equipment but you might need a hill, is doing hill sprints. Now, hill sprints are great for building a lot of power, but the trick is you don't want to do them until you're completely fatigued. Almost think of it as doing like when we do our speed squats, right? 1, 2, or maybe 3 reps. So that's going to be maybe at most 20 yards. And what I say is that when you see people do hill sprints, they tend to do them so long they start breaking technique and form, and that they start actually degrading and increasing injury. But running uphill is a great way to develop a lot of leg power and strength if you don't have any equipment or any way to do any heavy squats. The trick is go as hard as you can, try to keep your sprint bouts around 3 to 5 seconds, and that's going to make sure you're in the right energy system and also creating more power. So I really like hill sprints. We don't do them a whole lot here, but we do prescribe them for people that have very minimal or no equipment. So don't forget hill sprints if you're trying to do that. All right, the next one, you're going to probably have to get a little bit smarter on how you're going to set stuff up, but inverted rows. Inverted rows are awesome for developing the opposite side of the bench press, but also for helping, correcting, and maintaining posture. So for a lot of us with sit-down jobs, if we're stuck at home, we have to work on the computer now, we're not up and moving and doing a lot of stuff, inverted rows with minimal equipment is probably one of my favorite exercises to do for people that don't have a lot of stuff but need to maintain good posture. So if you're a desk job kind of guy, you need to be doing these exercises at least twice a week. And I think the big reason for that is getting that desk body, right? Where you're leaned over, you're stretched. If you're a truck driver, if you work construction, if you operate a crane, if you're sitting in a position where you're anteriorly rotated all the time, doing inverted rows is going to help kind of alleviate neck pain, spine issues, shoulder problems, all kinds of stuff. So if you don't have a lot of stuff, figure out a way to jerry-rig an inverted row, and that's going to help you a ton. Now, if you have more questions, we have some at-home training manuals on the website, so go on there and take a look at that. And if you're really, really serious and you need a lot of variation in your training like I do, then hop onto our online coaching where we're very, very used to taking whatever you have and making it the best we possibly can.